Kelly Bissell, the Global Managing Director of Accenture Security, is also here to share his thoughts as we kick off these conversations. Kelly, thanks for being here. I'm wondering, what's your biggest concern these days?
Hey, Rick, thanks for having me. And Suzanne, thanks for having me here. Of all the conferences that I have to attend, I will say that the Cipher brief is the most important to bring public and private thinking together so we can all be safer. I would give you not one, but two things, if I could. So as I think about the 10,000 security projects that we work on for both governments and private companies, and then that 7,400 critical infrastructure clients, really two things. One is we need a security platform provider because every CISO in government or the private sector, they have to buy and integrate an average of 80 different vendor tools. And I think we mentioned that before. If you're a bank, it's more like 120. And these represent another attack vector, if you will, for the bad guys. And the other problem is none of these tools are integrated together. So in the marketplace, there is no what I call an ERP system for security. And CISOs are starving to come up with a better platform that covers all the elements of security. I actually believe this is one of the reasons why data breaches and ransomwares are so easy to occur, is because not only poor security hygiene, but these tools are not integrated and no one can see these attacks coming well. I also think this is why, Kevin Mandia and his company at FireEye, or Dimitri's old company at CrowdStrike, or Microsoft, or Palo Alto Networks, or others, they need to cover much more than a few slices of security, but broadly across the board. I also think that they've got to be 10 times the size, if you will, so they can see that visibility and see the attacks coming and respond at scale and kind of network effect, if you will. And I think we all know, because I'm mostly on the private sector side, that companies are caught in the middle in these active cyber warfare and geopolitics. But the good thing about it, I think, Rick, from my perspective, is the government's never been this serious about solving the cybersecurity problem with the right tools, the right leadership, the right sort of intestinal fortitude, if you will. So I think what I think about this is we need a security platform provider. And then I'll just add one thing for future concerns that I have. And I think we touched on a little bit, but like the SolarWinds. Sue Gordon and I talked about this in the fall at the Cipher brief, that I think the market is, even though the market's moving to cloud platform providers so companies can be resilient and have elastic processing, if you will, I think we're embarking on concentration risk. And although I think that a bigger platform provider and cloud providers can give us more innovation and more protection, I think that, to quote Paul Virilio, this French philosopher who said, with every innovation comes the good and the bad. We didn't have the shipwreck until we invented the ship. So I think we have to be careful about that. And I don't think we've figured it out yet, because we still have a lot of outages within this cloud environment, and it affects not one company, but many, many, many companies. So I do believe if we can create a platform actually to make it easier and simpler for the CISOs, great. If we can think about concentration risks and avoid some of these catastrophic issues, great. And if we do those two things well, then I think we can make a really big impact, and across the both private and public sector to make it safer. So that's how I think about this.
So Kelly, the U.S. government controls maybe 10% of the network. Networks are out there, and the private sector has the other 90%. So what do you think the role of the government is versus the private sector in this space? Can you get a little more specific there?
Yeah, I don't think it's one or the other. We have to do this together. And I think we're almost at a new opportunity where I think CISA can really build the new with private sector by industry, and maybe have a core platform, if you will, but have nuances for banking or oil and gas or utilities. But I think if we come together as one team, we can actually solve this, but we have to commit, if you will. And so from my standpoint at Accenture, I'm committed to bring our 7,400 critical infrastructure clients to CISA to make sure that we can actually really solve this better today.
That's great.
Oh, sorry, Suzanne.
No. I was just going to say we're getting ready to talk to the acting director of CISA in just a little while, and that's something we can bring up when we talk with him. Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say, Kelly, when you say build a platform, you mean like a framework, or do you mean a specific piece of software?
Yeah, I think we got plenty of frameworks, and so I actually believe we need a piece of software that actually works together, much like Oracle EBS or SAP does. The software that actually covers all 79 elements of a security, a CISO, it works real time, bidirectional within that one software package. And I think we got to get there, because the idea of having 120 tools that are not integrated, it's not working, and it hasn't worked for 20 years.
And how do you square that with your warning about concentration risk? Because that's the big concentration risk right there.
That's right. That's the two sides of the coin that we got to figure out. But I know it's not working today, and I do believe that we need that platform. But if we have that behemoth, if you will, then I think they can pour the innovation and safety measures to prevent that concentration risk better than each individual company, each individual service provider. So I think we can better reduce the risks with a behemoth, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I like that idea. Kelly, we'll bring up a lot of what you've talked about today when we talk with Brandon Wells, who's the acting director of CISA. And I'm sure that we'll be talking about these issues over the next 3 days, because everyone who's agreed to participate in this series of conversations agrees that we have a big problem and we don't have an easy solution. Right. So Kelly, thank you so much for being here. And I also just want to really thank Kelly and Accenture Security and Babs Doherty, who is president and CEO of Preferred System Solutions, for also sponsoring this series of conversations. It's these conversations can't happen out of nowhere, and their corporate sponsorship of these events really helps us pull together an excellent team. So Kelly, thanks as well for your support for this.